Picture this: a 7-year-old boy sitting at a dinner table. He just spilled his juice. It spreads across the table, dripping onto the floor, soaking into his homework. And every parent watching knows what comes next. The tears, the panic, the desperate look toward mom or dad for reassurance that everything is okay. But this boy does not look up. He does not cry. He does not reach for anyone. He simply gets up, walks to the kitchen, finds a cloth, and cleans it up alone. Quietly. Completely. And his parents watching from the other room feel something they have felt many times before. Pride. He is so independent. He never needs anything. He handles everything himself. What a remarkable child. But here is what nobody in that room understands. That little boy is not remarkable. He is not mature beyond his years. He is not naturally independent. He is a child who learned, through hundreds of quiet moments nobody remembers, that reaching out for emotional comfort was not something the world reliably offered him. And so he stopped reaching. And that single adaptation, invisible and well-intentioned and completely unplanned, will follow him into every relationship he ever has for the rest of his life. Today, I am going to show you exactly how this happens. Not through trauma, not through neglect, not through anything dramatic or obvious, but through the kind of quiet, repeated, ordinary moments that happen in loving families every single day, and what the science says about how to interrupt this pattern before it becomes permanent. But first, I need to tell you something that most parenting content gets completely wrong about this topic. Avoidant attachment is not caused by bad parents. It is not caused by abuse or neglect or cold, unloving homes. It is caused by something far more subtle and far more common. A pattern of emotional mismatches so small, so ordinary, so well-intentioned that most parents would never recognize them as the source of anything at all. Here is what is actually happening inside a young child's developing brain. Researchers in developmental psychology describe babies and toddlers as pattern detection machines. They are not looking for perfection from their caregivers. They are looking for something far simpler and far more powerful. Predictability. When a child reaches out emotionally and consistently finds warm, immediate, present response, their nervous system records a pattern. Reaching out brings connection. That pattern, repeated hundreds of times across early childhood, becomes the neurological foundation of what psychologists call secure attachment. But when a child reaches out emotionally and finds something different, a parent who minimizes the feeling, a parent who distracts rather than connects, a parent who is physically present but emotionally unreachable during distress, the child's nervous system records a different pattern entirely. Reaching out creates distance. And here is where the child's brain does something extraordinary. It adapts, not because something is wrong with the child, but because the child's developing brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Finding the most reliable strategy for maintaining connection with the caregiver it depends on for survival. And if reaching out emotionally consistently creates subtle distance or discomfort in the caregiver, the most reliable strategy becomes clear. Stop reaching. Become easier. Need less. Handle it alone. This is what developmental psychologists call the origin of avoidant attachment. And it begins not with a single dramatic event, but with hundreds of ordinary repeated moments that nobody planned and nobody noticed. Now here is the specific mechanism inside the child's brain, and this is where it gets both fascinating and heartbreaking. A toddler is upset. Maybe they are scared, frustrated, or overwhelmed. They come to their parent for comfort. And the parent, from a place of genuine love, does one of several things that feel completely reasonable in the moment. They say you are okay. That is not so bad, trying to help the child feel better faster. They reach for a toy or a distraction, trying to redirect the emotion. They finish what they are doing before responding, not realizing the delay itself is teaching something. They show visible discomfort with the intensity of the child's emotion, wanting the feeling to stop. From an adult perspective, Every one of these responses is understandable. None of them are cruel. None of them are intentional harm. But from inside the child's developing nervous system, each of these responses teaches the same lesson. When I show big feelings, my parent moves away from me. Not dramatically, not cruelly, but away. And a brain that has experienced this pattern hundreds of times draws a conclusion that will shape decades of relationships. Emotional expression creates distance. So the safest thing to do is contain the emotion. Handle it alone. Present the calm, easy, low-maintenance version of myself that keeps my caregiver comfortable and keeps connection available. Harvard's Center on the Developing Child describes this process as the developing nervous system's most efficient adaptation to its emotional environment. The child is not broken. The child is brilliant. They have solved the problem in front of them with the only tools available. But the solution that works beautifully in childhood becomes the barrier that breaks relationships in adulthood. And here is the part that breaks my heart most when I research this. The child who develops this pattern is almost always described by the adults around them in the most glowing terms. So easy, so mature, so independent, never fusses, handles everything himself. What a remarkable kid. Parents feel quietly relieved. Teachers adore these children. The child receives consistent, powerful reinforcement that being emotionally self-contained is good, that needing nothing is admirable, that handling things alone is strength. And so the adaptation deepens. What began as a survival strategy becomes an identity. I am the person who does not need much. I am independent. I handle things myself. And that identity, once formed, carries into every relationship the person ever has. The romantic partner who cannot understand why they shut down during conflict. The friend who disappears when things get hard. The adult who can be warm and loving when everything is fine, but becomes somehow unreachable the moment genuine emotional need enters the room. The roots of that adult were never dramatic. They were developmental, and they were built one ordinary dinner table moment at a time. So what does a parent actually do differently? Because this is where most content on this topic fails. It identifies the problem and leaves parents feeling guilty without a clear path forward. The research points to 3 specific shifts that interrupt this pattern early and begin building the neurological foundation of secure attachment instead. The first shift is the most important and the simplest. Move toward your child during emotional distress, not away from it. When your toddler comes to you upset, resist every instinct to minimize, distract, or delay. Put everything down. Get to their physical level. Do not try to make the feeling stop. Simply be present inside it with them. You might say nothing at all. Or just 2 words. You are upset. And then stay. Close. Still. Present. That single response, practiced consistently, teaches the child's nervous system the opposite of what avoidant attachment teaches. When I show big feelings, my parent comes closer, not farther. The second shift is about language. Stop praising emotional self-sufficiency as though it is maturity. When your child handles something difficult alone without seeking support, resist the urge to say, "I am so proud of you for not needing help." Instead, actively reward vulnerability. When they do come to you with a hard feeling, respond with the same energy you would give their greatest achievement. "I am so glad you came to me with this. That took courage." You are teaching their nervous system that all of them, not just the easy parts, is welcome. The third shift is the one parents resist most, because it requires something of the parent, not the child. Let your child see you need people too, not adult problems, not emotional dumping, but appropriate, real human vulnerability. "I had a hard day, and I am going to call a friend because that helps me feel better. I am struggling with this, and I am going to ask for help." Your child is watching everything you do, and learning what capable adults actually look like. If they only ever see you handle everything alone, they learn that needing people is weakness. If they see you reach out and find connection, they learn that reaching out is strength. The child at that dinner table who cleaned up the spilled juice alone was not showing you his strength. He was showing you his adaptation. And the extraordinary thing about the developing brain is that adaptation is never permanent. Every warm response, every move toward moment, every rewarded act of vulnerability begins rewriting the pattern. The nervous system that learned reaching creates distance can learn something different. It just needs hundreds of new experiences to do it. And those experiences are available to every parent, starting in the next ordinary moment. Not in a therapist's office, not with a perfect response, just in the quiet, repeated, daily act of moving toward your child when it would be easier to look away. If this changed the way you see your child's easy moments, share it with one parent who needs to hear it. And subscribe to Wise Roots Parenting because there is a lot more coming.